Thanks for coming. I'm really sorry if something goes south or bad. I'm getting back to public speaking, so hopefully it won't be a rough ride, and if it will be, then it's not my fault to just blame organizers for inviting me here. I'll talk about strange things one can find in AndroidX package. AndroidX package is also called Jetpack, or Jetpack, yeah, Jetpack. And it's just basically a new fancy name for support libraries. So there are lots of stuff in there in AndroidX package, like fragment is a support version of fragments, all the stuff that we had in a support library, and now also some extra things. And I will focus on those extra things because some of them are kind of funny. No one is using them, most probably, but they are really cute. One important announcement: there is a StarCraft tournament happening right now in Katowice, IEM Katowice. There are other games being played there as well, like CSGO, but StarCraft is being played there as well. Some Polish players are playing. Sadly, most of them already lost and they are out of the tournament. Today, Laser will be playing. I think he's the only one that can go to final stages. Hopefully he will play later today. So after my presentation, just go to twitch.com and watch him playing. About me, I'm professional code monkey. I called myself that. I work with Stanwood.io, which is a 100% remote digital agency. There are a couple of links you can follow. I'll publish this presentation, so if you're more interested in Stanwood, just go and visit the website like facebook.com. I think one thing that is cute about this company, there is a handbook about this company on gitlab.com. You can learn everything about this company, how it works. Even you can learn about your salary, because everything is public at Stanwood, like most of the things. That would be about me, and today's topics are two cool things one can find in AndroidX. I will start with emoji, because emoji are so important, and also there is one really cool twist happening most recently on Android 9 with emoji. Hopefully you will all enjoy it. I enjoyed it myself, and actually this little change, that's the reason why I decided to have a look at emoji, which by the way is called Emoji Compat, right? Anyways, emojis, they are available since like forever, but of course, new Unicode standard is bringing more emojis. Some emojis are also being changed, like most recently we had a real gun, now it's like toy gun. So emojis are either new or being changed, and with Emoji Compat, what we can have is on older Android versions, we can have the latest, greatest version of emojis, so the new ones and also the updated ones. This is a typical scenario one can find. On the left is on older Android device, this emulator running Android 4.4. As you can see, there is no beer emoji, and also there is no family emoji available. Why is that? Because those two emojis were introduced in later versions of the standard, and they are simply not available on Android 4.4, which is, I believe, KitKat. On the right, you have a modern device, Nexus 6P, running Android 8, and both emojis, so beer emoji and family emoji, are available. And Emoji Compat, which is part of AndroidX, is supposed to fill in the gap, so provide emojis on other Android versions. You might think that I don't care about emojis because my app only shows some results from the network, like from some public API. But if you think about this, very often someone is typing in data into that API, and person that is typing in that data can use emojis. So even if your app is fetching a list of GitHub repos with description and name of the repo, I'm not sure if emojis it's okay to provide emoji as a name of a repo. Most probably not, but description definitely can contain emojis. So possibility of showing all the emojis that are in Android 9 or standard Unicode 9, I believe it's called Unicode something, it's kind of important, because it's not up to you to decide what someone will type into edit text on a web form somewhere, like on GitHub or any other web panel. So our apps are communicating with Contentful, some REST APIs, wherever it is, we just get data, and that data can contain some weird emojis. And in this case, even beer or family emoji seems to be weird for Android 4.04. So what we can do, we can use Emoji Compat. And how hard it is, it's fairly simple. So first of all, this is the package name, which is inside of AndroidX, so it's AndroidX emoji widget. And inside of this package name, we have plenty of widgets. And so as you can imagine, every time when you just use edit text and you want to show all the available emojis, you just go with emoji edit text. You can do it with, you cannot do it with just edit text being upgraded to app-compat edit text. Sadly, we have to use emoji edit text. One caveat here is that actually, it's not on this slide, it's on the next slide. There are a couple of other packages available, and it's not listed in here, but here is a hint. All the emojis that are being supported through AndroidX emoji are using spans. So how it works under the hood is basically every time when emoji comes, not supported emoji comes from the network, what's doing this package or library, it's basically converting text into a span, and this span can support wherever emoji you want. And then, of course, this span can be displayed inside of an edit text, or you can go with emoji edit text, which is in here or in here, and then auto blue, everything will just happen automatically, right? So you might still think, I don't care about this, but let me show you how really simple it is. So to convert this app into a really nice looking one with supporting every emoji, all I have to do is add this magic line in here. Basically, it's copy and paste. The second thing you have to do is just initialize this. By the way, I just added a custom application in here, right? So what I have to do in my custom application, I just need to initialize emojis. And basically what's happening here is this library is fetching a font which is called not a color emoji compat. This font is being fetched from the Google. It's dynamic font. This is a separate thing, but emoji compat is using this mechanism. So basically, emoji font is gonna be fetched from the backend, from Google servers, and this font is gonna be used to display text. And of course, this font, which is called once again not a color emoji compat, contains all the latest greatest emojis. So once a new emoji is being introduced, we don't have to do anything, because this logic in here, we download a fresh version of that font onto our device. Also, what is important, each and every app using this will trigger this fetch, which is a system-wide fetch. So if any of apps on your device is using emoji compat, this app most probably will trigger fetching of that new emoji font, latest version, and our app started later, we just get it for free. Anyway, we still need to initialize emojis. As you can see, some emojis, like fetching this font file and initializing this library, can take some time. So if first screen of your application, like main activity, uses this custom emoji, you can want to delay showing main activity, just wait for this library to be initialized. So you can put some logic in here if you want. Okay, so show splash screen, for instance. And then, so once again, I just add one random line in here, then I just initialize library in my custom application or main activity if I want. And then I just copy over this file from a documentation. It's basically just information about a signature of a custom font that contains all the emojis. And then later, this is regular layout file, right? I have two text views, and inside I want to show family emoji and beer emoji. And this is how it looks before the change on Android 4.4, and after changing text view into emoji text view, out of blue, all the emojis are here. So you still can think that I don't care about that. I don't want to show emoji, beer emoji, or all users are using a newer version of Android. I don't care about older Android than, let's say, Android 8, right? So this can be your, this maybe will convince you. On the left, why we should care about this library, right? On the left, this is Nexus 6P using Android 8. As you can see, emojis are supported. On the right, this is very much the same device, but using the code with emoji compat library. And maybe you can see a subtle, a tiny difference in here. I will make it bigger for you, but just hold on for a second. So most probably, for most of us, this definitely in Poland, family is a man and woman, right? But this is not like in every other country, right? Most probably some families are like gay families, so you have two males. And also there is this all talking about gender, that he or she is, it's not enough to describe each and every person, right? So thanks to emoji combat library, what we can have on devices, I think starting with API 14, we can have brand new emoji that was introduced in Android 9, which is genderless family emoji. So you can see it here. This is Android 8 running regular family emoji. This is Android 8 with emoji compat using genderless family emoji. And this is how it looks on Android 8, and this is genderless version. So I hope that this one thing will just convince you, sorry for that, convince you to start using compat library. Instead of having this boring family, switch over to something that is much more modern, so genderless family. And basically it's mostly about haircut. Yeah, it's mostly about haircut. So that's the first thing, emoji compat. Very simple change. In Android, instead of using text view, I use emoji text view, some initialization, so init code in the application, and some magic in Android manifest file, and now we can have all the latest, greatest emojis. Sadly, it doesn't work with app compat text view. So the second thing, which is, I think, super useful, and is also part of AndroidX, and it's actually, so this emoji thing is kind of old, as is like also was available in support library. This thing is brand new from February, so like from 7th of February, so from this month. So it has like 20 days, it's 20 days old, and it's called View Pager 2. So most probably all of you are using View Pager for onboarding screen, which is basically 4 screens of showing how our app works. Scroll to the right, very, very easy to be done with View Pager. And now I would say that's, oh yeah, we also use view pages for tabs, right? We have 3 bottom tabs. Very often there's a view pager being used to show those 3 tabs. So, and it works just fine. No one is complaining, it just works. And out of blue, there is view pager 2 coming, which is part of AndroidX. And I was surprised to hear that someone is like messing with this. And I was also curious how different it's from regular view pager. So first of all, the big difference here is this number 2, of course. The second difference is that it's being developed as part of AndroidX, so that's, Jetpack, and so AndroidX, that's one thing. The second thing, it's also being developed as a separate library. So you actually can go and check the sources, see all the commits happening there. Most probably you could also contribute to this repo. Here is a link. And there are some also release notes. And honestly speaking, if you ask me, none of those like features of View Pager 2 like sell it to me. I really don't care about right to left support or vertical orientation support, which is, I think, possible with, is it possible with View Pager? Okay, maybe it's not. Okay, maybe this part is actually kind of interesting. But the rest of those things, for me, they look kind of, I really don't care. For me, View Pager is just tabs or onboarding screen. Still, Google decided to start implementing that. And the question, why that happened? I think there are 2 reasons. The first reason is that someone was bored at Google and thought that I have this crazy idea, let's do View Pager 2, and said, yeah, let's do it. So that's the first reason. The second reason most probably is in here. So View Pager 2 is around 300 lines. So it's, okay, there are more files actually there, but it's like all the files are less than 400 lines. So it's very easy to read and understand the code. And the original View Pager is almost 3,000 lines of code. It's old code. There are some comments in here, but most of this class is lots of Java code, hard to understand and follow. So there are, I think, 2 reasons why there is a View Pager. One, I'm bored, let's do something crazy. And the second thing, let's make a like modern version of View Pager. So that's the first thing. The second thing is how to use View Pager, and hopefully you're gonna get excited about this because it will also show us how it's implemented. So how to use View Pager. So first of all, we need to have an item that we're gonna show in our web pager. In my case, it's just a constant layout with a label inside which shows page, and question mark, of course, gonna be page 1, page 2, page 3, okay? So I need a layout. The second thing is, so that's an item of a View Pager. The second thing I need is basically a master layout. Let's think it's an activity. In this activity layout, of course, I need to put a View Pager. So basically, I just put View Pager and add tools everywhere where I can. So it's AndroidX.viewpager.widget.viewpager2. So that's another normal thing everyone would suspect, right? So basically, I just put a widget inside of an activity. And this widget, the only interesting thing maybe is that it takes a parameter called orientation. So by changing orientation from horizontal to vertical, I can switch this view pager from being horizontal to vertical, right? So that's kind of obvious. And that's that. So the next step is, of course, we need to somehow connect data, like add a data, so most probably set adapter on that view pager. So let's do it. And it's kind of small, and the idea is that I will just show parts of this so that you're going to be surprised. So the first part here is how can I just listen to some events happening with that view pager. So first of all, this is my activity. I have 3 pages, and then inside of my activity, of course, I set content layout, so mine view, and then I just find my view pager, and on that view pager, I can set register on page change callback. This is something we can do with view pager. So every time when someone swipes pager to the left, to the right, we're gonna get this callback this method being called. So that's a normal thing, right? Here, I can also set something, which is, I think, a new thing, and it wasn't possible with a view pager. So I can very simply set a page transformer. So in this case, I will show you this app running on my computer. So basically, what I can do with almost like 4 lines, I can do some transition, like a custom transition between swiping page from the left to the right. In this case, I'm changing alpha. So the text, so the next page coming, the text will just like appear on the screen, and the page coming off the screen will just disappear. And it's fairly simple. All I have to do with view pager 2 is just call this, set pager transformer, and transformer takes view and position, and then in the view, of course, I can find all the elements of that view, apply some transitions. So that's very simple. That can be done with a view pager. And of course, at the end, we just set adapter, just like in case of a old school or view pager version 1. And now, looking at the adapter, and this is the whole magic just disappears in here. So adapter that we set for a view pager version 2 is basically recycle view adapter. So long story short, view pager 2 is basically something built on top of a recycle view. And if you think about this, recycle view is doing very much the same thing that view pager is doing. It allows us scrolling to the left to the right, or from the top to the bottom, and also that explains why view pager 2 has a vertical scrolling. It's not like someone really needed that. We just got this for free because view pager 2 is implemented on top of recycle view. So it wasn't a requirement because no onboarding screen is swiping from the top to the left. More like, hey, we got it for free, so why not to sell this as a new feature? So adapter and the whole view pager 2 is basically recycle view. So when setting adapter or creating adapter for view pager 2, we just basically create a recycle view adapter. And the code in here is just as it's always. So we need to have on create view holder, get item count, and on bind, and of course we need a view holder. Thanks to that, we can use Tatarka and binding adapter for view pages as well. So all this code basically can disappear if we switch over to use Tatarka's binding adapters. But I think in the end, it's kind of cool that view pager 2 is basically a view pager API on top of recycle view. So how exactly it works? As you can imagine, there is no magic here. A view pager 2 is a view group. Inside of this view group, if you look in here, you have recycle view. There is a linear layout manager. There are 2 extra classes. One is to listen for scroll events, and one is to listen for page transforms. Basically, all those classes, what they are doing, they are just listening to scroll events of recycle view, and they decide if the recycle view was scrolled enough to show next page, and if so, they just call a callback new page that was shown. Or when scrolling the recycle view, they are calling this page transformer so we can apply some transformations. So, and the rest of the code, and basically, again, you can go and check it in Android Studio. So it's just called viewpager 2.java, and it's like 400 of lines of the code. It's basically just a code that is setting a layout manager to recycle view, a code that is setting on-screen listener. So it's a very basic code that is basically translating recycle view API into a viewpager API or similar callbacks. There is one thing that was actually a surprise to me, because every time when I was thinking about snapping of a recycle view, all the code I've seen, it was like kind of complicated, some maps there and whatnot. And there is a helper for that, which was a surprise to me. And of course, this helper is being used because if you think about viewpager, you scroll the full pages, right? And the way it works, basically there is a pager snap helper provided with ViewPager2, which extends snap helper, which is part of Recycle View. And what it does, it makes sure that you swipe to the next and previous page, that you won't stop in the middle of scrolling in, between two pages. So that's that, and this can actually be reused if you have a Recycle View and you want to add snapping. It's there for grabs. And one last thing is that ViewPager supports regular views and fragments, and ViewPager2 to be like almost a drop-in replacement also support fragments. There is fragment state adapter. Of course, it's extending a Recycle View adapter. Here is the top of this class. There are like maybe 20 lines below. More or less, this is basically an adapter that has an array of fragments and fragment states, very much the same implementation as regular fragment adapter for ViewPager version 1. And all it does, it basically creates a fragment for us and attaches this fragment to Recycle View. So that's that. And last, actually, interesting thing, and the biggest class of the whole thing is this scroll event adapter. I want to even pretend that I understand what it's doing, but what it's doing, like the way I see it is basically converts scrolling events, because when you scroll a Recycle View, you get a scroll event all the time. I scrolled by 10 lines. And then it's up to this scroll event adapter to translate that to what is the current page. If the next page is now visible, you know, we can ask adapter what's the currently visible page, and what this scroll scroll event adapter is doing is just listening to all the scroll events and figure out if we are on the next page, if so, calling the necessary callback. So this is the most complicated class of the whole ViewPager2. And like I'm trying to say, it's doing translation between Recycle View events, which are basically I'm scrolled by 10 pixels, into events that we are getting from a ViewPager, so that I'm showing the first page, I'm showing the second page, I'm showing the last page, okay? So there is plenty of code in that class, like a couple of comments, but most of this is Java code, and this class is basically just doing this translation, so we have regular ViewPager alike callbacks. Yeah, more lines of this class and more lines, and it's fairly long, but then we don't have to really understand this class. As you can see, it's just listening to on-scroll event, which Recycle View is emitting, and most probably here somewhere we'll have idle state, so we stop scrolling. Somewhere a line before we check what's the visible view, and even somewhere here there will be a call to page was shown on one of the slides, and there is this call to call our callback that we are showing page number 1, 2, 3, and so on. And I think this is the last slide. So to sum this up, ViewPager2, it's still alpha, but it works really nicely, and the reason for that is because it's just Recycle View. So it's hard to do something wrong with that. If you are using, if you have onboarding screen in your app, basically 4 pages, you just go with that, and it's fairly easy to use. And API won't change, because it can change because it's alpha, but I don't see it changing because what else can be changed in a method that takes 2 parameters? I'm showing first page, I'm showing second page. Maybe some extra parameters will be added, but in the end, API is fairly simple. And just last thing, I just wanted to show you that it's not only screenshots. So actually, I created those apps, and I will maybe start with emoji. And as you can see, this is all device. The only sad part is that when you use emoji compat on Android 4.4, this is still a boring family. It's not genderless family. You will get genderless family using Android 8, and genderless family comes with Android 9. So that's one thing. And the second thing, this is this ViewPager2 in action. It's really just that. Like it's like 60 lines of code. And I can scroll from the left to the right. Snapping is happening, so I just scroll a bit, and it moves back or forward. Not sure if you can see, but page 3, when I'm scrolling it out of the screen, it gets alpha, so it disappears in a way. And page 2 that comes on the screen, It now has a full color, but of course it starts with alpha set to 0. And I think that's that. Two useless things one can find in, or maybe not that useless, strange things one can find in an AndroidX package. Any questions?
Why ViewPager 2 instead of ViewPager Compat or ViewPager Recycler, whatever? It's not normal to have the 2 on the end.
A good question. I think they are not investing more time into ViewPager 2, so it won't. If there are any, there are some bugs in there, and they are supposed to be fixed in ViewPager 2. It seems like they don't want to fix them in ViewPager because they are moving over to ViewPager 2 based on Recycle View. Honestly speaking, if you have an onboarding screen and you are used to ViewPager, just continue with ViewPager, show those 4 screens as fragments or views, scroll to the left, to the right, just works. I have no idea. Maybe for main screen, which has bottom tabs at the like navigation based on tabs on the bottom, then maybe for that Recycle View / ViewPager 2 will be more like performant or whatever. But ViewPager 2 works for me. I'm not trying to convince you to start using that. It's just like something I noticed that they are doing, and it's just like it's there. And of course, this is part of AndroidX. So when time comes to Android Y, most probably only ViewPager 2 will stay, and ViewPager won't be like ported over or moved over. There are 2 questions per person, by the way.
If you have an emoji compat, is it possible that somebody uninstalls or you lose that feature? You have to support, let's say, callback that you are not having first you was introduced, so you get the callback that you have, you're ready to present the compat, and then you have, the user somehow deleted it from the system. Like
you mean, okay, so the question is about emoji compat and this new custom font, right? So I'm not sure if it, so there are 2 ways of, so with emoji compat you can use dynamic fonts, so you don't ship a font as part of your application. And so at app start, assuming that your app is the first one on the device to use emoji compat, so at the install time, Google is supposed to fetch this font. And actually, this is something I can show you. So Google is supposed at the install time to fetch this font for your app, and then it should be there for other apps to use. I'm not sure if this is actually true because I'm switching over to project, this emoji compat project, and now I will just go back with emoji here. I will clear up data, right? And now so app was cleared, and I will start the app for the first time. And please notice that the text will appear first, and then not sure if it's too fast. Once again. See, first, you're not looking. Anyway, what I've seen on my screen, maybe you as well on the projector, is that first text appears, and then a couple of seconds later, emojis appear on the screen. But if I restart the app, okay, actually it's happening again. Anyway, so I thought that for a second there was this moment when both text and emoji appeared at the same time after second round. Anyway, getting back to your question. First up, using emoji compat should trigger at install time the event of fetching a font from the Google servers. This font should be kept on the device for their apps to use. So this is a dynamic version of font, and this is how I set this up. So in Android manifest, in main emoji app. So I have this extra line in here, and this is doing this dynamic font thingy, okay? This font request in here. The other version is to include font file in your app. It will make your app bigger, so that's first thing. The second thing, you will have this font immediately available, but the third thing is that you need to update your app once there is a new version of the font. So once there is a new version of genderless family, with dynamic font, we'll get it for free. Without dynamic font, you need to release a new version of the app and make sure to fetch this new font file. So that's that. Last question.
I have a short one. What I don't understand what is the set replace all. What does it replace, the fonts or?
Set replace all?
It's number 19.
Oh, That's a good question, and the answer is, of course, under command click. So, here it is.
Yeah, it's a good discussion, actually. Like, how should I expect it to behave, actually?
So, according to the comment, if you set it to true, emoji compat will replace all the emoji that you can find in an emoji span. So how it works is that text with emojis is being converted into a span, because if there are any glyphs that are not supported with your device, they will be converted to spans, and span will just show a glyph of the custom font. And according to this, so if you use this true, all the emojis that are in the text you try to show will be converted in emoji spans. So like all the emojis, even if your system is supporting them, is gonna be converted. If you set it to false, emojis that are being supported by your system, and maybe older version of the images will be kept like on your system. And if they are supported, older version is going to be used. If they are not supported, new version is going to be used. So what it means is basically, the way I see it or understand it is, this won't happen. If enabling it to false, we wouldn't have this. So because Android 8 is supporting family emoji, boring one, not the modern one, and this is also Android 8, because I set it to true, it was upgraded to the latest family emoji. And without setting to true, we would have boring family. Okay, thank you.